So I was finishing up the audiobook, and the clown, the circus just, you know, has been relentless. Between Luna, the cat, the weather, which makes the locusts sing, which brings on the birds who are feeding on the locusts, which brings on other birds who are after those birds, which brings on leaf blowers and mowers and chainsaws, for fuck's sake, and beeping of trucks and everything else. And my deaf ass didn't catch the fact that the last 2 chapters of Derelict had locusts on them. So I had to re-record them, and I managed to get both of them done this morning before any of the racket stopped. And literally the moment I stopped and finished recording, the birds started in. I was like, ha, fuck you!
Evil plot to keep you from finishing.
Yeah, so now I have 79 more chapter audio files to QC. It's going to be so much fun.
I've got one more episode of the Upstart God stuff to do to get it off to the copy editor before I get back to the novel that I'm working on. And it's just, I need to get that novel, I need to get that storyline finished, because I need to focus. I have so much novel work that I need to do that it's really bugging the hell out of me that I'm not getting it completed.
I hear you. I hear you.
It's just not making the money to warrant my attention. I need to finish this so I'm not robbing the people. But I just need to ready to be done with it.
Does this mean you're thinking about ending the serial?
I think I'm going to finish the major plot line that I'm doing here and leave it sit on Vela with no updates until Vela actually starts attracting an audience.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I would like to write more, but when it's making as little money as it's making, I can't justify spending that kind of time and disrupting my novel work, which is actually making me money to pay the bills. Right.
No, I get you. I understand completely, sir. Oh, boy. Yeah, I had that realization with Station 3. Got to get back to it. Got to start cranking on it. Got to get it going. So I think I've figured out. I wasn't really blocked. It was just another 3,500 words into the darkness that I had to scrap. But I didn't really scrap it, so to speak. Wavemaker, unfortunately, doesn't have the ability to put everything in a folder and say, don't count this, don't do anything with it. It's just here for trash. But that's not really trash. It's another feature I want to add to the damn thing. But the it was a pretty good set of scenes. It just was not right for that time. So I ditched those and went back and started writing, and I was able to dodge out before we figured out what the hell was really going on. And I love the little thing that I'm doing right now to keep the characters in the dark. It's a lot of fun. To keep the character in the dark. Only his the team leader has an entangled connection with command. No one else does. So she piecemeals out the information, but she's getting piecemealed out the information too. So it's like there's a double blind going on for the other characters. They're relying on information that they're getting secondhand in fragments. It's a good little conceit to get around the "what the fuck are you doing, boss" kind of deal. Everybody kind of knows, all right, well, what are we doing here? Is it command calling the shots, or is it the boss calling the shots? Anyway, I'm working it. I just said, fuck it, I need to stop worrying about it. I put in the conceit, and we're going to go with it. It changes things, though. It changes how you write and how you think about how the story is going to unfold, because it means that the character who's not a main character, or the main character, is going to be giving orders and leaving the reader, both the reader and the character, wondering where the hell is that really coming from and what is going on here, because they don't have much of the story. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. I'm 22,000 words in, finally getting forward movement. And I think I got another 7 before I finish this part of the arc. Or this arc, I should say.
Gosh, now you make me wonder how many words I am into the novel. I think I'm about 100,000 words into the novel. And
which novel? You're going to have to be more specific.
the only novel that I'm currently writing on, the co-authored novel.
The co-authored novel, okay. How many points have you in that? How many points? Just one. Just one POV. Okay.
And I suspect now it's going to run a little bit longer than 130,000 words, because I finally got just about got most of the things taken care of, which means that I can move forward to the final conflicts of the novel. And I don't see that wrapping up in 30,000 words. I think it's going to be a little longer.
I have the opposite problem. Over how many days would you say your story takes place?
A couple of months, maybe a month, maybe a month.
Maybe a month. Okay, I'm thinking this takes place over 6 hours. So there's a limit to what I can do before it gets ridiculous, which was the same kind of problem I have with Derelict. There's only so much I'm going to be able to throw at these people before it's kind of like, all right, get the fuck on with the story, right? And then how much story is there after that? So I'm not really worried about that. I've already kind of set my expectations that this is going to be like a 70,000 to 75,000 word book. If I get to that, I'll be happy, because it will mean I can cut it back to probably 70. It also means I can get it done fairly quickly, I hope. Terry's sitting there looking back through his notes. Okay, on this date you said this, and that was back in 2015, Paul. And how long did that book go? About 2016 when you said this. I'm
thinking, I had to look up to be sure what the name of the movie was, because my brain wasn't cooperating. The movie Oscar with Sylvester Stallone in it was a 2-hour and something movie that took place over a morning. So like 3 or 4 hours. Everything that happened was all just packed right into that little time frame.
Yeah, you can do that. But I don't want to do that, because the story doesn't lend itself to that. We got one main character, and so we only see things through his eyes.
It's like Disarming Germany.
Oh my God. Why would you bring up that movie? Why?
Because I love that movie.
Oh my God. Wow, people think I have bad taste. Holy shit.
And don't call me boss. Okay, boss.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Such a douchebag. Such a douchebag. Okay, so
the kittens are out of their cones and are rampaging through that end of the house now.
When did they go back?
A couple of weeks.
Okay, so all right, you still got them for a while.
Still got them for another couple of weeks. Their cat mom works for the utility company, and so still doing out-of-town work. So we're watching over them until she gets back.
Fair enough. You just need to,
when they leave, I'll miss them.
You just need to call yourself a cat hotel and get it over with, a cat resort, and make money on the side.
Gosh, wouldn't that be great?
No. Somebody's going to bring you another tortie, and that will be the end of the house.
Yikes. I don't know about that.
Torties are evil, evil, evil.
Did you see the picture of the little tortie that one of my Facebook followers found.
So the one you sent to me?
I may have. I don't recall.
Well, send some. Yeah, you did. Yeah. Little. Yeah. You did. You sent me that one.
Little pocket Wookie.
Yeah, pocket Wookie. Yeah, that is most definitely a pocket Wookie. As opposed to Minnie, who's not a pocket Wookie.
She says, I just want love.
Although she does look like some kind of animated creature from a sci-fi film right now. A fantasy
animated, sweetie.
That mask. Jeez. Ay, ay, ay. What do you want to talk about today?
How about getting our damn lives together so we can actually complete the projects we want to be working on? God damn it. I cannot be organized while trying to work on multiple things. I've got the episodes for Upstart Gods for Vela that I'm wrapping up. I've got a short story that I need to wrap up so that I can get it off to the editor because it's got a deadline of mid-next month, or mid-November rather, I should say. And I've got the novel that I need to finish up before I can start my next novel.
Okay. And
I am just all over the place. I cannot get any single thing done, it seems like.
Terry, have you been multitasking again?
I'm pretty sure that I can't multitask, so that may very well be my problem.
I think we've hit upon the problem. I was actually going to bring this up. Context switching. It is really shitty for me personally. I have a very difficult time doing it. If I'm working on one task, I'm liable to get it done much faster and more efficiently than if I'm trying to work on several. No matter the fact that one task may take a while and there may be a period of time where it's automated or whatever else, if I try and switch to something else, I get this, everything gets fucked up. Just everything gets fucked up.
It takes me time to switch from one thing to another.
Yeah, and then I find myself having to, I have found myself producing shitty code or shitty writing or shitty audio or shitty whatever else because it takes my brain a while to get back into that place. And it's one of the reasons why things have taken so long is it was like, well, I got to take off 2 or 3 days to do nothing but code. Then I have to take a couple of days off and do nothing but write. Then I have to take a couple of days off and do nothing but audio. And every day trying to go back and write at the same time because the context switching was just fucking killing me. And every time I got ahead of steam, switching over to something else just completely hijacked all the progress I've made on anything. So that said, you need a Scrum Master.
You know, my job had Scrum Masters. I never really understood their purpose because that was a developer thing. But
really,
yeah, I thought that was a great title to have, the Scrum Master.
I can't remember what Scrum stands for, but it doesn't really matter. What you need to do is you need to basically say, put on the calendar, I'm going to do this today. That's going to be my focus. And if I get enough headwind on that, then tomorrow that will be my thing again. When you're going to have to do it based on the deadline you have. And you got to live up to the deadline first before you think about anything else. All the other deadlines that you have are self-imposed, although it would be nice to meet them, obviously.
I'm not really sure that I'm on any self-imposed deadlines. I think all of my deadlines currently are external. I've got to have the novel finished and self-edited before I go to Vegas in November.
Right.
I've got to have the short story done and off to the editor before the deadline, so I have time to get it off by the deadline for the anthology. And Upstart Gods, I'm going to run out of episodes if I don't get more off to the editor. So every single one of those is an external deadline, not something that I can afford to put off. Because if I don't put it up, if I don't do it, something is going to come loose.
Wow, you've really fucked yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much this time I did.
I got nothing, man. You're boned. That's just the way it is. You're boned.
It's one of the things that doing this co-authored series, the first paycheck out of that is going to get me the new computer. So
right.
You know, that's another good thing to come out of that.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a nice thing. I understand that completely.
I've also got another anthology story lurking out there, but I don't have to turn it in till May of next year.
Oh, geez. Well, I think you got time on that.
I've got time on that.
Don't forget it and put yourself in the same situation you got right now.
There.
Sticky note. My God. Why don't you? Wow.
Why don't I what?
Why don't you put it on a calendar and set a reminder?
Because I don't look at my appointments that far out.
You don't need to set a reminder. Every week it pops up and says, hey, dummy, have you done this yet? Yes or no? Snooze. Hey, dummy, have you done this yet? Yes or no? Snooze.
That's way too modern for me. I can't do that. I think I need to go ahead. You know, maybe I could use this whiteboard that has nothing written on it.
Listeners, patrons, if you could send me some Irish whiskey to go along with some corpse coffee, it would really help me get through shows like this one. It would really help. Just saying.
Luckily enough, I don't usually have so many things crowding my calendar. This is an unusual time for me to have all these external deadlines.
I really do think what you're going to have to do is you're going to just have to say, okay, I'm going to knock this short story out in the next 3 days. And that's what you got to do.
I could do that. But what I'm actually going to do instead is I've got tomorrow, I need to wrap up the last episode of the Upstart Gods to get it sent off. I'm only one away from it, and I can get that off my plate for at least a month.
Okay.
So I'll do that, and I'll get that off my plate. Then I will focus back in on writing the last of this novel, which I'm hoping will only take 2 weeks to wrap up. I still have to self-edit a couple of passes on it. But before I start the self-editing, I'll write the short story. And then I'll get to the self-editing. But I need to get back to the novel. I need to get that part done because having the sword of Damocles hanging over my head is not how I like to live my life.
Okay,
by
Harry
sword of Damocles, I do not mean Minnie the Office Cat.
She's more of a purr of Damocles. Yeah, that was bad. Okay, so you got a plan. What's the problem? Why are you stressed? It'll all work out. You're professional.
Yeah, I got a plan. Life is not cooperating so far with giving me all the time and resources that I need to make it happen, but I do have a plan.
Catus interruptus. I think if you're working at home all day and you've got this many projects going on, it's just like at work. You know, typically in DevOps and system admin and shit like that, we get, you know, we're managing 9 different things at the same time. It makes it impossible to ever feel like you're finished with anything, even when you get there. It just seems impossible. So it's not until you actually visualize what's there and then say, and this is why the Scrum or some other process is important, is saying, okay, today I'm going to get the following things done on this task. And that's all you're going to do that day. And that's what you're going to get done. And if you get it done and you have time to pick up another one, you pick up another one. And you get as far as you can on it. And you just keep doing it that way. When you finish a task, you take it off the board. Even if that board is mental. And that's pretty much about as modern as you're going to get. So there you go. That way, when you move this stuff around, you have less of a problem keeping or losing track of things. It's just a better way to organize it, in my humble opinion. But you're never done. We're never done, Terry, because, Okay, fine. You get the novel done. All right. Then you got to get back on novella. Then you got to get back in your series stuff. Then there'll be another story for another anthology. And then there will be a podcast to be on. Then there will be yada, 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 yada. You're never done. So when you go to Vegas, the couple days you're there, you can, you know.
Yeah, then I'll just feel guilty about all the things I'm not doing.
Yes, because that's how it works.
Once this is all done, then I've got a novel of my own to do.
Right.
And then I've got 2 more novels in the shared universe, the co-authored universe. So if it's going to publish early next year, the first book of this, I'm going to have to see about making my process a bit more sprightly. I need to produce a little bit more.
I know that feeling.
So that's why Upstart Gods is going to be jettisoned as soon as I finish the storyline. I figure I'm about 10 chapters away from 10 episodes away from wrapping it up, 10 or 15. And it's just going to intrude every time I have to do 5 episodes a month to send off and get that done. It's going to intrude on everything else I'm doing.
That's what I was worried about when you first talked about this process. I was concerned about that.
It did not work out for me well at all.
That's
lesson learned. It's a lesson that I should have already known, but nonetheless, here we are. What I'm going to try to do is I've been writing a chapter and editing it, giving it 2 editing passes to get everything cleaned up in the way I like it. And that might be slowing me down a bit. So when I get back to writing, I'm just going to go ahead and write out everything that I'm doing before I come back and look at it again. The time is going to be spent no matter what I do, but if I'm just writing, maybe I'll get more accomplished than if I stop to do something else like editing.
Okay.
The problem with doing the editing and whatnot is it feels, when I've done a chapter, I'm done. It feels like I'm done. It feels like it's okay to get up and walk away from it.
Right. Yes. That is correct. That is very correct.
So it's easy to stop when I do that. But if I'm just going to be writing or self-editing a bunch of things at a time, that's not a I'm done part until I hit a certain time of the day. So maybe maybe I could stuff more time into doing the things that I need to do if I don't give myself easy, convenient quitting places.
Well, what if you wrote in the morning and edited in the afternoon?
I've tried that as well. And that's typically what I'm doing now. Then when I finish editing, I'll say, oh, I'm done. Oh, it's 3 o'clock. What else can I go do? Something else. Not working out for me.
I think with Station 3, there's been some points where my brain is trying to process what I just wrote to figure out what the next sentence is. And then I'll glance up and I'll find a paragraph. I'm like, that really sucks. So I'll go back there and I'll fix that paragraph. And by the time I come back to where I was, that next sentence is there. It's just like, you can't see it unless you're using your peripheral vision to look at it. It's just right there in front of you, but you can't see it unless it's through your peripheral vision. Sometimes that's how I find my way back in, but I know that's what Dean Wesley Smith recommended, right? Cycling. Mm-hmm. Basically do a paragraph or 2 and then go back and edit those paragraphs and then come back to it.
He would talk 400 or 500 words, but yeah, that may be one of your paragraphs. I'm not sure.
It's not one of my paragraphs. Well, there may be a paragraph that long at some point. No, there better not be a paragraph that long. If there is, I need to be spanked. Anyway, getting 400 or 500 words down or part of a scene, that helps me go back and remember what I'm doing next. Especially if there are numbers. Okay, I've introduced 4 red shirts in this. 4. There are 4 red shirts, Paul. Make note. To self. Remember, there are 4. I'm really close to pulling out my retired Mac, burning it to the ground and sending it to you and saying, use an external hard drive and see if this works.
I've got a Mac. I just couldn't make the hardware work.
Right.
Tried to plug in the camera and it's just like, yeah, what's that? I don't know anything about that.
That's what I'm saying. Your Mac's busted. Last time I checked, mine still worked. Somewhat. It's only a decade old.
I needed to do for what it does. It's only there for vellum. I don't care about the rest.
Let's see. Mine is here for just about everything right now. I need to get a Linux box, though. Need to get a Linux box at some point. Anyway.
Sadly, my computer is just going to be the piece of junk it is until early next year. Probably just the beginning of Q2 of next year. Well, if the first book in this series comes out, in the first part of the year, then that'll be about when I start getting paid for it. So yeah.
Well, yeah, this is true. I mean, I'm going to see what it's going to take 2 quarters before I know what Trident sold. So no clue. Audiobook I'll know pretty fast, but at least at the front load. But I won't know shit about the book, paperback or ebook until things go. Was ranked under 500 on Space Marine or Fleet or something.
One of the subgenres?
Yeah, the first book and the fourth book. So maybe that's probably doesn't mean jack shit, but still. Yeah.
Those are
ranked in the 20,000s.
As the meme says, those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, they are rookie numbers. They're awful. So I don't know if there's been any kind of PR for it or anything at this point.
Does the guy do any PR? I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
I'm not going to go there. So this week is audiobook. You're talking about getting things done. This week is audiobook. This is why I spent all morning checking audio levels and getting things right and saving strip settings and trying to fix inconsistencies between files. That was 3 hours of my life, and I really want those 3 hours back. Unfortunately, now I've got things set up, it'll be easier, but I still have 79 more files to go check. And I have a checklist of the 7 things I need to do in each file. And I'm following it rigorously, and it's going to suck, but it's got to get done so I can put the audiobook together, so I can get it together for my $10 patrons, and then I can get it up into, God damn, I've lost the name of the service. Losing my mind. Anyway, it's got to go into ACX, and it's going into this other thing. And then I'm probably going to host it on BookFunnel and hook it up with PayHip, so you can buy it directly from me, but it will still be in all the different services. And then I'll go put it in ACX, where it will flounder for 3 fucking months before anybody looks at it. That pretty much sound like a plan?
It sounds like a plan. I'm not sure it sounds like the best plan, but it sounds like a plan.
And what is the best plan, Terry?
If I knew the best plan, I'd be doing it myself.
Oh, okay. All right, fine. Anyway, so I'm going wide, and especially since it's going to take ACX forever to do anything. So it doesn't make any sense to do anything exclusive with those jackals. Which reminds me, I need to send them emails and go or support tickets saying the black, all of that's being pulled out of exclusivity. Make it so. So that's all the stuff I have to get done this week to get it on sale so I can start making money. So there you go.
Have you considered moving to Alaska to pan for gold? Because that may do you winter good.
It might do me a winter good. It might do me a world of good. Or I could just write, 3 more Station 3 style novels in the next, 4 or 5 months.
There's always that too.
That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. But I know where I'm going with Station 3, which is exciting. And so I'm no longer floundering in the dark. But
floundering in the dark.
So bad. I put this on Discord. I spent speaking of doing things and not feeling like you're accomplishing anything, I spent some time researching audiobook stuff this week, or this weekend rather. And I'm going to use Findaway Voices for the distribution, except Audible. Always go to Audible directly, because you don't want to further dilute their pathetic royalty. So if you're going to go wide, you do ACX always and forever. You go through ACX if you're going to be on Audible. Otherwise, you're just wasting money. But if you do find a way and you do that, then you really only have two places to worry about and can still make money. And then it looks like BookFunnel has got all the pieces in place as a pretty good, I think actually it might be a pretty good replacement for MailChimp, because it's been designed to do email letters and everything else for ebooks and audiobooks and whatnot and blah, blah, blah. And it's got more marketing tools available and more plugins or hook-ins, whatever, because it's directly tied to some of these other services, merchant services and things like that, including PayPal and PayHip and all that other garbage. So I think that's probably what it's going to be for me. And it's going to be like, what, $8 or $9 a month. So it might be worth it.
Funnel is also got a tie-in with SendFox, which is what I use for my email list.
Okay, yeah. So
people that go pick up my free prequel novella there get signed up onto my list.
Exactly. So you can basically put the samples there, drive people to that, and then they're signing up for the email list, being bada bing, bada boom. So you don't have to manage all that crap.
I still have my email list on SendFox rather than using it on BookFunnel, because I've already paid for it.
Yeah.
It's already there. I already got it.
It's just a matter of, if how much can you manage in one place, what you can afford, and et cetera, ad infinitum. But it is definitely something to look at. It's been, a couple of years since I looked around the audio stuff. We've had Veronica and others on talk about it, but basically the technology has changed so fast, and everybody's services, the Now Authors Republic, which is what I have been using, is now costing me money as opposed to using Findaway. Because Findaway takes a lower percentage and actually offers more tools, heuristics, diagnostics, blah, 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 all statistics than Authors Republic does. So you get to know whether or not your marketing campaigns or whatever else you're doing, you can basically get a better view, 10,000-foot view of what's going on in the audiobooks, see where you need to push, where you're getting the most bang for your buck or the most interaction. So it seems to be the service that people should be using if they're going wide. That's just my 2 cents.
Just in case you didn't know it, by the way, I found this out through dealings with BookFunnel. They're actually in Pearland.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So I can drive me into Pearland if I got any problems, and I can talk to somebody there directly so I can show them my knuckles?
I'm betting that it's somebody's house, so I don't think I'd be driving there if I were you.
In this part of the world, that might get you shot.
Never can tell.
It's probably.
Yeah, I was part of a book bundle that they were doing, and so they sent me the information, and of course, it had their email that they sent out had their address on it. And I was like, "Oh, you're like 10 minutes from my house. What are the odds of that?"
Wow, that's bizarre. Knuckles and Pearland. That's where my sister lives. Anyway.
Are you sure she's not running BookFunnel? This could be a big scam that she's pulling on you.
Oh, if she's running BookFunnel, boy, does she owe me an explanation. For so much, for keeping me in the dark about so much, letting me flounder all over the place. Anyway, that's where the market seems to be if you're going that direction. So I would, if you're planning on going wide with your audiobooks, whether you produce them through ACX or Findaway has their own production as well, then that's how I would distribute it if you want to get away from the Amazonster, the Audible Zonster, whom we all agree is going to be in deep shit.
We'll hope.
Well, I mean, this ACX thing over royalties and miscalculations and misrepresentations, I think, is going to finally blow the deal up.
I'm watching from afar going, how high will this go before it blows up?
Yeah, it's just a matter of testimony, because they're looking for any reason to take down any of these folks. And the fact that they've been running a con to some extent, if you think about it, that's kind of bad.
If, as I understand it, there's a group of people that are trying to do some kind of class action lawsuit against it. If they don't get pulled into Amazon arbitrating everything, which I suspect is all too likely, if they get to Discovery and start getting emails to look at, that'll be very exciting.
Yeah, that will be very exciting.
I don't expect it to happen, mind you, but there you are.
Yeah, I can already see Amazon's lawyers. Well, this will expose trade secrets. You mean trade lies and corruption? Your Honor!
Every time you talk about Amazon's lawyer, I have the scene from oh God, I don't even remember the movie. One of the ones with Mel Gibson as this crazed cop. Nothing?
Crazed cop? What, Lethal Weapon?
Yeah, one of the Lethal Weapon movies where you've got the South African ambassador going, diplomatic immunity.
It's just been revoked, says Henny Glover.
I see their lawyer going, diplomatic immunity.
Yeah, that doesn't work out too well. At least in that movie.
No, it did not.
I think it's going to be fascinating, because it won't just be the writers. If you think about it, the other services could also sue, because they have been basing their rates on this, that, and the other. And if Audible has been, and ACX have been misrepresenting things, then it has also affected them. Because it's not it has not been as good a deal for the last 5 years as it was the 5 years previous for that. It just hasn't.
I hope that it ends up going to trial and blows everything wide open. I'm just skeptical that I'll ever see it.
I'm skeptical too. We'll see. Maybe we'll get refund checks. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Here's your 12-cent refund check.
Well, that's what the class action would be. But the thing is, I think this would probably go beyond that, because I think the Federal Trade Commission is going to get involved, and that's going to become something completely different. And this is not a company going bankrupt. This is a company just so stuffed with cash it doesn't know what to do with it. So I don't think they're going to get any kind of pity. They're going to get...
all the money is going to go to the lawyers and the government. You're not going to see anything. I'm not going to see anything.
We'll see. We'll see. I'd be more than happy if Audible just dies and, everybody else goes to all the other services. I'd be okay with that.
I don't know that I would be happy with that. I would be happy if they were forced to be spun off from Amazon.
Well, until they change their user interface, they are basically my least favorite service to visit.
Audible or ACX?
Yes.
Because those are different entities.
And they're both pieces of shit. ACX is worse than Audible, and Audible's pretty trash.
I've got a lot invested in Audible. If they go away, all my licenses for my audiobooks go away, and I lose my library. So there.
Oh. No, you keep the books you have.
No. Oh, no. People have discovered the hard way that these books are not something you own. They are licensed. The company can cancel that license at any time it chooses, and suddenly you are out.
Unless it's something you bought.
No, that buy now button is a license. It is not a purchase.
All the more reason to dump Audible. All the more reason to dump them.
It's the same way with everybody else. This is not something that's new. You're not finding any place that you're buying an audiobook or an ebook of any kind where you are in actuality purchasing that book. It's not happening. None of the places. It's all licenses.
Yeah, but if you buy it from me, You own it.
That's what you say now.
That's what I
What
do
about
say.
if you change your mind in 10 years? I'm canceling my licenses. Give me my ebooks back.
That's why I don't have licenses. You have, this is related, this is released under this license, and that's what it is. And blah, blah, blah. That work is
That's
there.
true.
It's
Most
done.
books that are purchased are not done under that. So, yeah. These places that are clearinghouses of these books, like Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Audible, whomever, they all have licenses. If they go out of business, your license goes with it.
That's one of the issues with the whole distribution mechanism. You won't really own nothing the way it's done. So, yeah, if
one
you
of the
could buy
laws that I would like to see changed, that may actually change at some point, is a law mandating the portability of your purchases, so that
yes,
if you want to change it, you know, you're not being bound. If a company goes out of business, you still have the license to it.
that'd be nice. That'd be nice. You'd have to treat Spotify and Apple Music or whatever it's called. You'd have to treat those differently. But for something like an audiobook, if you essentially you're using you have so many tokens a month or whatever the hell it is, depending on your price, you've essentially paid for those audiobooks according to their terms.
With Spotify and the other streaming services, you're not actually keeping a copy of that song.
You can, but it goes away the moment that you uninstall the app or anything else, or lose the subscription. It'll go away. So it's
you're
a
paying for the subscription.
Yeah.
And the subscription going away cancels your ability to use it.
Correct. That is correct.
So it's a different bird, but yeah. Who knows what the next few years will bring as far as these companies go?
Yeah, it's just the navigation is I think it's going to be one of these situations where you can't get too complacent. You're going to have to stay up on it. Because like I said, in 2 years, it changed that much. Where now there's like this completely separate workflow to go through. And talking to V and looking at some of the blogs, I've read a shit ton of articles Saturday morning. Where people were talking about, and I even watched a couple of YouTube videos. It was terrifying about the way the business has changed over, such and such a time. And one of these videos was produced in 2020, and I saw another one produced in 2021, and they said exactly the same thing. So I'm thinking whatever they said at the end of 2020 still applies. And then I went and researched what they said, and it just is a very different workflow. And if you're disappointed with how your books are doing, if they're Audible exclusives or whatever, if that's the only place you use, might be time to try something else. Because there are more services out there. And then on top of that, you've got the podcasting services are clamoring for shit. Amazon wants you on their podcast list. Apple wants you on their podcast list. Everybody wants you on their podcast list. Spotify wants you on their podcast list. So yeah, podcast your audiobook. I wonder what it's going to look like, but I am also going to go hybrid with Severed for the foreseeable future with the Derelict stuff, obviously, anything related to that directly. And things like Station 3, that's the only other novel I've sold, but that's the hybrid stuff that I do, and everything else that I do, we'll see. But I would love to be able to bundle ebook, paperback, and audiobook all in the same thing. Would love to be able to do that. And price them how I want to. Damn it. You're just going to have more cats. They're just going to keep showing up.
Misty says, I didn't just show up. I've been here for years.
Uh-huh. Well, folks, he has to turn the cat around so she can get a face shot, because that's how that works.
But she's dark, so you can't really see her eyes that much. There you go. It's hard to believe that she's 14 or 15 years old. She's still so active.
What are you, chasing her regularly?
No, she's a self-winding cat. and shoots off doing everything she wants to do.
That would be Shadow. Yeah. Get the zoomies and it's all over.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I read recently was talking about a company that does artificial intelligence type reading. That the article was, will this one day replace narrators in audiobooks? Don't you touch that camera. But it's a, by the way, the short story is it's not of current quality to be able to do that. And the major sellers have rules that you have to use a human recording. You can't use artificial intelligence.
Good.
Because, you know, they want to protect that environment. Once somebody starts doing that, it's just going to be a flood of stuff on the market that's of mediocre quality and
less than mediocre.
Yeah.
Less than mediocre.
So as I understand it, there are currently rules in place that say no artificially intelligent readings of stuff.
No text.
But one of the things that came in the article that I thought was interesting was it said it's not quite of the quality, you know, to do that sort of thing yet, but it is of the quality perhaps to do podcasts of your novel if that's what you wanted to do. And I was like, well, that's an interesting idea to have artificial intelligence do your podcast novel version.
Oh,
once it gets to a certain level of quality. If you're somebody that's not intending on selling your book in audio because you don't want to spend the money to do that and you're poor, then maybe you can make it available to your users as an artificially intelligent narrated podcast. At some point in the future. Let me stress again, the quality of this stuff is not of the level that it would be necessary to even do that for a free podcast. Okay.
Right.
So I'm not advocating this, but I'm saying that the day where that happens is probably not so far in the future because the technology is improving. It won't be so many years before you've got somebody that can have an adequate podcast of a novel chapter done via computer with an artificial intelligent voice. It's not going to be the same as a narrator. It's not going to be as good.
No.
But how many people are going to go, okay, I'll listen to that.
I don't know. That's going to be the other part of it is how many people are willing to settle for that as opposed to somebody performing it. And I'm not saying it's not ultimately going to get there. It's just the one thing a narrator can bring to it, especially if it's the author who wrote it, is the cadence and the inflection and the pauses and changing the rapidity and how you say words based on what the context is, what the scene is, and which character's doing it. And that's something that I think is a lot more complicated than the article is going into. I think they're missing that entire section of it.
I am absolutely and utterly certain that you're right. Nevertheless, technology overtakes us all.
No, I mean, that's what I...
5 years ago, Hugh Howey was railing on about how artificially intelligent computers are going to be writing novels and displacing human authors. I still think that day is a long, long time away.
But we're seeing things happen with AIs writing books.
So do you think, I'm veering off course on this here, like Audible says no audiobooks written or narrated by computers, would you think that Amazon would slap something in place saying no artificially generated books?
I think that would probably, I think they would probably do that. I think they probably
would, certainly in the beginning when the quality is not that great.
It's so difficult because, you know, those of us who study machine language and could speak a little geek, if not a lot of geek, we know most of it is when it comes to words, when it comes to sentences, when it comes to this, that, and the other, It is learned behavior. Yes, it gets honed. It gets this, that, and the other, but it still makes probably too many mistakes and needs a lot of supervision. And so my brain is sitting there looking at the data sets you would have to train these things on, and they're enormous. And then you would have to go back and correct them. And most
people would not bother to go back and correct them.
And most people will not go back and bother to correct them. So it's just like if you shoved in the old days, did a speech to text, it's going to get every third word wrong or misspelled or the wrong usage or whatever. And those kind of things just cascade over and over again. Maybe what they're going to do, this is what they're going to do, Terry. They're going to have a light AI that sits there and writes this bullshit. Then they're going to have a much stronger machine learning algorithm that goes back and edits it.
Maybe so. Personally, I think I might read the novel where it's written like that meme that goes, you know, we had a computer scan 1,000 ads for lawyers, and here's what it came up with. You ever seen those? They're just ridiculous.
Those are awesome. Those are just awesome.
They're so ridiculous that they had to be written by a human being because it's so ridiculous on purpose.
I don't know, man. Have you ever seen your phone do predictive text where you just say something and then you just don't understand. There's an algorithm back there keeping track of frequency, keeping track of phrases, communicating with home base, saying, what the hell is this person trying to say? Can you give me a hint here so I don't look like an idiot? And it will come up with some beauties.
It's basically, it's like the old saying that they talk about autocorrect. Just think of autocorrect as a little man inside your phone that's trying to help you, but he's actually quite drunk.
I actually know what it is. I could see the little guy inside has got this checklist of all this bullshit he's got to check, right? And then he's trying to check it against this other bullshit that you've entered. And so he's trying to choose from the strict rules that he's been given with the shit data he's been given to work with. So, you know, I have strict rules. Fuck is not a duck. Me, I have strict rules. His strict rule is duck is not a fuck.
I would eliminate duck from autocorrect if I could.
Well, God, I would so remove that word. That is the one word from autocorrect I would dump. Yes, that is one word I would remove completely because I love me some profanity. But anyway. It's
like the one other guy says on the internet, dear autocorrect, it's never duck. Never.
It's never duck. It's never duck. Is it possible? Yeah. Is it going to be something to watch? Yeah, it's going to be something. It's going to be entertaining because I like to look at the progress, but I know it's not there, at least from what I've seen, unless they've made a radical leap, and I seriously doubt it.
Do you think it would be there in 10 years?
I think it's possible.
20.
Probably.
I'm not sure I'd like to be a writer in 20 years.
Well, here's the deal, though.
Dear computer, generate 43 novels in a series for me. Done.
No. Holy shit, no. I still don't see it happening without human intervention. I still don't see a quality product being developed without a human involved in the process.
Howie's going to be so disappointed to hear that. Of course, he's on a yacht in the Caribbean, so who cares what he thinks?
Yeah, like he gives a shit what you think. In fact, who gives a shit what you think anyway, for that matter?
I know, right?
I think there's going to be something lost. And maybe I'm being a Luddite and I'm talking like the folks that were against electric guitars, you know, and everything else before.
Those keyboards. Automobiles will never displace the horse and buggy.
What I would hope what I would hope is that our imagination is always growing. So even though technology may be coming along, we're still the tool makers for now. And the tool makers always make a better tool than the people who use the tools. Are better able to use the tools than the people who the tools are made for, I should say.
I suspect that as the technology gets better, if places like Amazon even allowed computer-generated stuff to be put on there, which I doubt that they would, I bet they would have it firmly labeled to the top AI generated.
Yes, I agree with that too.
They wouldn't let somebody say, "Oh, no, this is some guy."
Yeah. Truth in advertising, please. I think it'd be fascinating to go through as an academic to do, you know, an analysis of 3 books written by a machine. I think it would be fantastically interesting, and to write an essay or something on those lines of like, okay, this is the weirdo shit that I got. It started out as an action thriller and became Kafka. What the fuck?
All right, now here's a plot idea that just jumped into my head. You're writing a fiction novel about just that.
Oh no.
Somebody that's an academic that's doing research on these computer-generated novels. And he finds a character in one of them, a sub-character, just a minor character, whose life mirrors the academic's. Some of the same events, some of the same happenings, and he's like, what's going on here? Suddenly he's drawn into a deep plot.
In a way, this is beginning to sound too much like Philip K. Dick's The Man in the High Castle, the book, not the series. No. I won't be writing that. You certainly could.
I wouldn't write that either. That's not the kind of story that I want to write.
No, but it is a thing to keep track of, and I think that me personally, I find it interesting to go look at what they're doing with it, because I love the researchers, because that's where the next breakthrough is going to come through, is stupid shit like this.
You should ask why about that. Ask why? Mm-hmm. Not the word Y, but the letter Y, to mean our friend that we cannot pronounce his name.
Yuda. Yeah, Yuda. We have to have him on again.
You were supposed to have him. You were supposed to ask him.
I know. The whole,
what was it? Handball team?
Yeah. It's our handball team.
In Germany.
Has been lost ever since.
I still want to know the full story there.
I don't think anybody's ever going to know the full story of that bullshit.
But I bet he's got an opinion.
If he even knows about it, he's probably going to come and go, that is an urban legend.
Yeah, it's not an urban legend. If he doesn't know about it, he'd be like, holy shit.
If he doesn't know about it, he'd look at it and go, my country.
The Adventures of the Handball Team. That should be a series of novels. They're capers inside the European Union after they have escaped Sri Lanka and are just busy zooming about the European Union.
Or you could take it sci-fi.
Aliens?
Oh, excuse me. No, the handball team is on the lam from their home planet, bouncing around and everything else, and they're undercover as some sports team or whatever. I don't know. There's ways to do it. I just think that is kind of a brilliant idea. There you go. There's an alternative to the A-team. The handball team. They show up and they hurl things at people.
Explosive handballs.
Hey, it's not much more ridiculous than the other shit on CW. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I think I did. I'm
pretty sure that everybody thinks that about all the shows on the CW. So yeah.
But you saw, was it Babylon 5 is getting a reboot on the CW?
I heard about that. Weirdly enough, I still haven't seen very much of the original series.
Still need to be slapped around.
I need to see it. I don't disagree. The episodes I saw, I didn't dislike. It just, I must have been doing other things during that time. Didn't have time to deal with it.
From what I've read, it looks like Straczynski's on board with it, and he's involved in some manner. I don't know if it's just hey, this is what we're doing, and they gave him a heads up, or if he's actually consulting.
I believe that he may be involved in potentially helping to plot out the arc of the story. So I read something just in passing that made me think that. So
it's
don't
entirely
hold me to
possible.
That may not be true, but that's what I seem to recall reading.
Well, I'll be interested to see what they do with it. But the first one, the original series, the seasons 2 through 4, is fucking amazing. Just phenomenal storytelling. Just good shit. Just really good shit. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do something worthwhile. Hopefully it won't end the way BSG did. Wow, that's some creepy 70s dropping acid shit. It's me and a cat going on forever, and everybody's moving a little slowly, so it's just creepy.
She says, I'm going to hang here and just wait till y'all finish this episode, because it's bedtime.
And Foundation is coming.
I heard that the first 2 episodes are already out.
Oh, they may be. They may be. I haven't been paying attention.
I still haven't seen it. And Dune is about to come to the big screen again, in hopefully a format that's not, offensive to the actual people that like the show.
You mean like the book?
Yeah, that I like the book. I for whatever reason never read Dune the book. And I never read Foundation either. So I'm going to come into both of these not having the background to know how they differ from the books.
I can't believe you've never read Foundation.
Well, I say that, but I may have read it when I was really young and I just don't remember it.
That's possible.
So it's probable that I did read some of it, but I may have been in my teens and I just don't recall.
That's when I read it. So it's been a very, very long time. And my memories of the story, as much shit as I'm giving you about it, my memories of the story are pretty fragmented. So I'm sure if I go back and I watch it, if it's at all, I mean, I know they had to reimagine it because things have changed, right? We're no longer
from what I've heard, reading a general review of the first 2 episodes, it looks like they're following the theme of the books without being slaved to the actual details of the original book. Right.
And that's what I was going to say, because it's basically being reimagined, so to speak, to fit with this time period. When did he write that? 58 or 62, something like that. It's out of step, right? It's just like if you tried to crew this thing with people who speak like they came from Leave It to Beaver, it's not going to work for today's audience. It's just not going to work that way. Why do you keep doing that?
Because now I can have you and Kitty on the screen at the same time.
Oh my God. It's very disturbing. Very disturbing. Anyway, that notwithstanding, I'm curious. I want to see it. I'm going to have to see it and sample it.
Yeah, it's on my list of things to watch too. There's a lot of good shows that look like they're finally going to start coming out. We'll see how they play. I'm looking forward to seeing what Amazon is going to do in the Lord of the Rings universe.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll hear all about it from people who watch it.
It is not set in the same time frame as the Lord of the Rings, so none of the characters really will be repeated. Although maybe some of the elves will be there. Who knows? It's hard to tell. Elves live forever in that universe.
Is it supposed to be pre-Hobbit?
Oh.
Way pre-Hobbit?
Way pre-Hobbit.
Okay, so it's back. It's back the original Ring War.
Not quite. The Ring War, where they're talking with the events of Lord of the Rings, were the end of the Third Age, which was a huge stretch of time. What they're talking about in the show is set somewhere in the Second Age. So you're talking way back. way back. If you're looking at it, Aragorn and the others that were in this book were the descendants of the survivors of the fall of the island nation of Numenor. The show is going to be taking place before Numenor was destroyed. So you're talking way back in prehistory. And Amazon may do, they've got a blank canvas. They could write all kinds of things that happen there that would have zero impact on the things that occurred in the books or in the series.
So long as they follow the few established laws that there are, which there's really few established laws to begin with in Tolkien.
There's a lot of the mythology of that age is spelled out in the Silmarillion, but it's a guide. It's only very general. So they're like mythology. So as long as you take little elements of the mythology, you can craft the stories that you want that you can fit in that without really violating it.
That's a scummy way of doing things. I would never do such a thing like that.
There was a meme that I saw the other day that I thought was great that had George R.R. Martin railing on about Lord of the Rings. And then it had a picture of Tolkien underneath that says, laughs and I completed my story.
Oh, wow. I completed Derelict. What's your problem?
He's too busy making money off of other stuff. He doesn't want to actually write.
Oh, God. He's in semi-retirement, I guess. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows what you would call what he's doing?
I don't know what he does. It's his business.
I believe he's sharking on his fans. It's how it's officially phrased.
Sharking?
Shart. S-A-H-R-T.
Oh, sharting.
Sharting on his fans.
Shitting and farting at the same time?
To make it even worse, that's exactly what I intended. Yes.
Uh-huh. Just like IGN?
IGN? I'm sure I don't want to know.
IGN. GDW? Is that who does Warhammer?
Maybe. I really don't play Warhammer, so I don't know.
Yeah, I just remember they're just assholes.
Are they sharding on their fans too?
Oh yeah, they have been for years. I
know that Wizards of the Coast is sharding on their fans. So.
They're not nearly as bad as these boneheads, but WotC's pretty bad. But the basically any kind of fan art, these are the dickheads that trademarked Space Marine, for Christ's sake. Which this article pointed out will not really hold up in court, but nobody is really willing to test it because nobody has the money to test it. So everybody's kind of stayed away from it. This is the same thing about Coke. That was a big deal in the 80s, is you couldn't use Coke. And it's not true. It's absolutely not true. You can. It's just
most places you won't get in trouble if you don't use it in a negative light.
Yeah, and the thing is, even if you do use it in a negative light, there's still that loophole. At least in fiction, it's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. They can rail, they can threaten, but they can't do jack shit. So that was an interesting thing.
Oh man, that would be something really cool to do. To do a whole going back to another Sylvester Stallone movie where he goes to the future. What is that? What was that movie? Something Man.
Demolition Man.
Demolition Man, where he goes in the future and all restaurants are Taco Bell. How about you go into the future and all drinks are Coke, but you've got Dr. Pepper flavored Coke, you've got Pepsi flavored Coke, you've got.
But that's essentially what they're talking about. Not everybody that was eating a fucking macho burrito or whatever the hell or chalupa. They were eating whatever the hell. It was just there was one restaurant that served all the food. But yeah,
I think that's a great conceit. That's a wonderful conceit. There's only one restaurant and it's Taco Bell. Whoever thought that up was obviously having tacos that night.
No, that's who gave them the money. I think they offered that contract to everybody, and that's who got it. I don't think it was originally that whole thing was so about product placement, and that's how they made a fuck ton of money off a shit movie. Now, it is an interesting and unique shit movie, but it's still a shit movie. But it has so many funny moments in it. I can't help but watch the goddamn stupid thing when it comes on.
There's a scale of things that sometimes they get so bad that they cross back over into being kind of fun.
Into good. Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of those movies that crosses that when it has lines like he doesn't know what the seashells are for. And when he's cursing just so he can get fined so he can wipe his ass with the paper. I mean, it's a great running gag throughout the whole thing. That's what makes that movie or those moments. As sure as shit isn't the dialogue otherwise. But the universe is so insane that, Stallone's down there in the basement eating rats. I mean, and thinking that's pretty good. Those are pretty good rat burgers. Yeah, that's the kind of world we crossed into. That's what makes that movie. Otherwise, it's really a shit movie. Really is. Really is. It's crap. That's why Terry likes it so much.
At least it's not like Demolition Man or Running Man with Schwarzenegger.
Oh, God. Oh, so bad. So bad. So bad. I can assure you the short story is nothing like that. Absolutely nothing like that.
Although I am a huge fan of the story usage of the explosive implants that blow your head off if you try to run away from the prison. I think that's a great story piece.
Yeah, and they can't remove it without it detonating. Can't remove it. Yeah,
that's a great thing to do in a kind of dystopian society. That's very in line with how dystopia works.
Very. It's not a new idea. It is in that particular realm very interesting because you can drop them into an urban environment. I mean, theoretically, that didn't have to take place in any kind of arena. That could have taken place in a city with them hunting those folks down, and it would have been the same thing. These are your boundaries.
More exciting if it was in the city. Actually,
it would have been much more exciting, and the contestants would have had more of a chance.
And the passersby could have won cash prizes
by getting killed.
By being involved in the subway.
Yeah, tell me that wouldn't be a better TV show. You bitches want some reality TV? Watch the bullets rain around you. And yes, they are actual bullets.
Survey says... God, what was the game host in that? The one I saw him in Hogan's Heroes first.
Richard
Dawson.
Dawson, yeah. Richard Dawson. Family Feud.
He was on Family Feud, so I can never... First of all, I see him as the character from Hogan's Heroes, and then I see him as Family Feud. So it's really hard to see him and say,
and then you got
see him in this role.
Yeah, and then you got him evil bad guy, and you're like, a
little hard to get there.
Yeah, my brain's just doing cartwheels here. That would have been a much better story. It'd have been a much better story. But then Arnie wouldn't have had to show off his muscles as much, and then you wouldn't have it. He'd have to actually talk. Can't have that. I was pissed off some Schwarzenegger fans. And I'm okay.
They'll be back.
Man,
that would be fun to write a story where you have one character that only does one-liners. Only does one-liners. If you ever have to have interaction with him, he can only say one sentence. That's it. It has to be a one-liner.
No. That's like Hodor, Hodor to everything. Nah, not going there. Not going there. That's not happening. We've been talking for a while, dude.
It's been one of those days where we've talked about a lot.
Yeah, we've done a lot about it. Crazy.
If only we had an AI to do our show for us.
They'd probably get better ratings. If you have a comment about this particular show, you can send an email to show@deadrobotsociety.com. You can tweet me at Paul_E_Cooley. You can join us on Facebook at the Listeners of the Dead Robot Society Facebook group where Terry wrangles everything. You can find us at YouTube at youtube.com/GRS Podcaster.
Podcaster? Yeah, that's what we do.
YouTube.com/DRS podcast. We have to see our ugly mugs and so many damn cats, and also psychedelic things that Terry does with the monitoring camera because he's weird. We have to thank our wonderful host, pod hoster, who makes all 14,000 bazillion episodes of the Robot Society available for your ear holes. And if you want to support the show, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/DRS podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get access to exclusive live shows and unedited content that no one should listen to. Oh my God, it's so horrible. And at the $10 level, you get your name read. And our $10 patrons are Summer Wilson, Tony L. Joy, Andrew Smallwood, Veronica Jaguar, Rick Shaw, Lisa Slack, Chris Winder, and Isabel Cushy. Thank you to all of our patrons for the support and keeping this show on the air.
Thank you, folks.
Yes. And where'd it go? Where'd it go? How could I possibly have misplaced it? Terry and I are caffeine addicts, and right now our best fix in the universe is Corpse Coffee. If you enjoy caffeinated beverages, go up to corpsecoffee.com, check out their webcomic, their boutique teas, their wonderful coffees, and tell them DRS sent you. Corpse Coffee, get the dead in your cup. And with that, we're going to get out of here because, we have things to do like eat dinner, and I have 79 audio files to QC. That's not going to all happen tonight, guaranteed. But we have stuff to do. So, Terry, I'm out of here. You're out of here. We're out of here. We'll talk to you later, folks. Bye.
Smell you later.
Really?